Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options to Play video update. We are entering the holiday stretch here, and from like a scheduled news perspective, things really start to slow down into year end. There are plenty of things going on, and volatility kind of ticked up this week, so I don't think we're going to lack for action. We certainly haven't up until this point. But in terms of scheduled news and like earnings specifically, it definitely starts to quiet down, and that will pick up right at the start of January. But just like the next like 2 to 3 weeks could be a little bit slower. That being said, this coming week still a few big names. As it turns out, though, really like the first 3 days of the week, there's just not a whole lot going on. Monday before the open, nothing of interest. There's nothing even scheduled on Monday after the close. Tuesday before the open, nothing of interest, or after the close, really nothing either. Same thing with Wednesday, just nothing, just like no major names. After the close on Wednesday is kind of the first, Lennar. Home builder priced in at about 5 points. We did ride a bunch of the home builders for a while. Some really great action on the sector in general. But they've quieted down. Lennar's rolled over. It did have a beat and raise in September, but it's off the level where it was then. Um, you know, I guess I'd almost prefer to just wait and get involved once this crosses back above 78, 79 area. Just, at least at that point, I know momentum's going to get going again versus trying for earnings because it doesn't seem like the sector is really a focus for a lot of people and it's not really in play. So I don't know if I'd want to lay out the money for earnings. But swing-wise, swing trade-wise, 78, 79, if it gets back through resistance, reset some higher levels, maybe things start to wake up. So I'll be keeping an eye on it, but I don't think I'm going to be playing anything for earnings. Before the open on Thursday, General Mills. So I guess like the fact that I'm even talking about this kind of tells you how the week is. They're pricing in 2.5 points. It's not really a consistent mover on earnings, but occasionally, like one every like 4 quarters, you get like a 3 or 4 point move. Um, it's more of a speculative play, I guess. And I don't know. I'm not sure I'm in the mood to mess around with staple stocks because they've been kind of quiet. If this is like your cup of tea, maybe it's worth a look. I guess for me though, I might just leave this one alone. Also Thursday before the open, Jabil. So about 275 is what's priced in on this. There's only a couple of tech stocks next week, and this is one of them. I haven't traded it much in the past, but it's actually kind of pushing up into like the top of like the multi-year high again, and it seems like a pretty strong chart. Last quarter was solid, and I feel like there may be room for either like a retest to the high or even like a pent-up breakout if the numbers are good. So maybe worth like a speculative shot on the bull side. After the close on Thursday, Blackberry. So about $1 is what's priced in, and this has been moving around a lot recently. And the headline was because of a partnership, but it actually seems more interesting this quarter from like a trade perspective than recent quarters, because the option pricing to me seems more in line with what it typically does on earnings, and that doesn't seem to be reflecting like the new reality of the stock. Whereas like wide-ranging bars, big movement, big gaps, ton of volume, right? So at $1, I mean, I don't think the options are too expensive. I feel like they might actually leave some room on it, and um, volatility strategy might be what I look at. And I do think that the upside has more potential, but also, I mean, just based off of pricing, I feel like there might be room in either direction. Fedex, so another big. So this is the big name after the close on Thursday, excuse me. 24 points. That's what's priced in on it. They've just absolutely crushed it the past 2 quarters. So is UPS. These stocks just huge beneficiaries of the e-commerce. Companies doing well, right? I mean, just they seem to just be like riding that wave higher, and I feel like they're likely to have pretty good quarter and pretty good holiday season. So, I mean, I feel like I lean bullish on FedEx. The biggest question to me is how high are expectations, right? Because the stock has been up a ton since July. I mean, crushed the last quarters. UPS has had great numbers. So I do think that there's a pretty high bar. But it also might be kind of a nicer or better setup if it keeps pulling back a little bit ahead of earnings, because then at least there's some room to play catch up again. If the numbers are really good and it can pop back towards the high. So I kind of see where it is on Thursday, and that's gonna be more how I determine whether or not I want to do anything with it. But I do feel like I lean more bullish biased on this. Um, Friday before the open, Darden. So about 9 points is what's priced in on this restaurant stock, and to be honest, I really just don't know what to make of it because last quarter it rallied on results, but those were I feel like more not as bad as feared versus actually being good. And now the stock is up a lot since then, and it at one point in November it was almost back to its 52-week high. So it it's just tough because states are shutting down, indoor dining shutting down, and Darden seems like in that scenario it should be more under pressure. So I feel like I lean more bearish on it, but I don't know if it's going to get hit hard because a lot of money's been coming into like the reopen plays, the value plays. So it seems like a very tough setup, and the option pricing seems kind of high to me. So I might just end up leaving that one alone. And then, strangely, after the close on Friday, probably the biggest name of the week is Nike, and I don't know why they're reporting after the close on Friday. I thought initially it was a typo that they were scheduled for Friday after the bell, but it is true, and I'm not really sure why they're doing that. But it does kind of set up like a weird scenario where um, it will be moving around on Friday night, but options expire Friday at the bell. So you actually have to go out to the following week to be able to participate in that. And those December 24th options are priced in about 10 points. Um, so they did crush it last quarter, and the stock is acting great, just off its highs. Lulu was down today, but overall the numbers were pretty solid. Under Armour's been great. I feel like it's all going to come down to expectations, kind of like FedEx, in the sense that a lot of people are expecting good numbers after it crushed it last quarter. The stock has had a great run, so I feel like retail names that have high expectations that are near their 52-week high going to earnings haven't performed that great after reporting. So I do think that this quarter in particular is tougher for Nike than last quarter. I think the setup's different, and option pricing is kind of high to boot. So it might be an avoid specifically for an earnings play. But in terms of like trading, like the numbers are good and it maintains the uptrend, it could just be like a nice one to like look at for a swing trade into year end and into the beginning of 2021. But yeah, very unusual to have that reporting Friday after the close. You don't see that very often. So like I was saying earlier, I mean, not a whole lot of names reporting this coming week, but some big names reporting this coming week. So, I expect volatility to remain elevated in the near term. It's been plenty of things moving around. Got a few big names reporting, so there should be plenty to do. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading earnings with options or option swing trading, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you on Monday.